Was that Ange, or did it just say Ange? How do you even pronounce her, by the way? I'm not really sure. Is it Angie? I'm just gonna call her Angie because Ange sounds incredibly stupid. Was that her? But it said she was 6, so how could that be her? But then again, how could anything be in this game anymore? Enge? I actually did not see that coming and started trusting the new Beato. But I guess I'm just too soft. I get betrayed so easily, man. Well, let's see the third tea party. Couldn't be any more confusing than before, could it? I never expected Lady Bear and Castle's piece to barge in at the very end. I searched all over the place for a piece fitting for a game with you. I was sure you'd like it. What's with that piece? Who was that person? Who was it? She didn't say her name. That's mean. Hey, don't you think so too? I have a general idea. Or rather, I imagine most people would have figured it out. Most people? Well, I don't get it. It was that character's first appearance, wasn't it? If she doesn't say her name, I won't understand. The players won't understand. No one will understand, right? Beato, don't bother telling her. She's just, that kind of sounds like, don't tell her. She's just too stupid. She doesn't need to know. See? Isn't she a funny kid? Indeed. Lady Lambda Delta's innocent airhead side is truly precious and amusing. Come on, why would you tell me, you meanie? In exchange, I'll teach you a special secret that only I know, so tell me. Huh, a special secret, you say? I want to hear. Bleh. If you want me to tell you, first tell me who that girl really was. The secret I know sure is awesome. After all, it's about as awesome as knowing that Santa-san is actually Daddy. I'm sorry, what? Huh? I said it. Sorry, I'll bet you're so shocked that it turned your world upside down, right? What do you mean Santa-san is actually Daddy? What, huh? What did you say there here? Oh, okay. Why would Santa-san be your dad? So your father was the one who came to your place, Lambda. Wait, what do you mean? Lord Santa Claus only visits the homes of children with pure hearts. I guess he didn't come to your place, did he? Well, Lord Santa Claus is gracious. Unless you're a really bad scoundrel, he'll give you a present. That's not the direction I want my thoughts to go to this night. Oh man. Good lord. I mean... unless you're a really bad scoundrel, he'll give you a present, alright. After all, he even gave them to me. As you grow and your heart is hardened, he stops coming. How old were you, Beato, when he stopped coming? Christian, what have you done? Indeed, he kept coming and... I'm sorry. This is just getting really uncomfortable right now. When my maiden's heart awoke, I quickly got somewhat embarrassed about... Could you please... use a different word now? After I woke, thanks for everything. That's enough. So make sure you splurge on that. Oh god. Oh god. I was looking forward to it. How old were you when you stopped coming? I was pretty wired. Happened fairly early. I think when I was about 9. I cannot upload this to YouTube, can I? Something about that beard really irritated me, so I waited in my futon with some sewing scissors ready, trying to cut it off. What a painful age. So as far back as Lady Lambda Delta can remember, Lord Santa Claus never came to see her, huh? He usually comes until the last year of elementary school or during middle school. I'm sorry. Maybe we should take her to a doctor. I hear that being too precocious can have negative side effects on the growth of mind and body. Yeah, you can definitely see some of those negative side effects. What are you people talking about? Blech. It truly is boisterous when the three witches gather. If you're talking about a secret on that level, I doubt this will be worth listening to. Can I go now? I have to get ready for the next game. Wait! What? Hey, wait a sec. Tell me who that woman really was. Well, then tell me this special secret of yours first. If it's good enough, then I'll tell you. Okay, I'll tell you, because it really is a special secret. Remember, in this game, this girl who found the gold and became the new witch, right? Indeed. And just what kind of secret might that person have? I figured out who that girl really is. Huh? Does anyone know? There was a hint in the way she talked. Remember that girl said it a lot, didn't she? If only you just blah. Right? Yes, that phrase is the key point. How is that, huh? If only, huh? She was actually Umineko. What do you think? Are you shocked? Are you an idiot? I never noticed that. Would you think that there would be a hint in a place like that? You're a real good sport, Beato. This kid tends to get full of herself, so try not to overdo it. See you, I'm leaving. But wait, it's not fair if you just listen to my secret and don't tell me yours. Tell me who she really was. Your secret was so amazing that mine just wouldn't match up. So in exchange, I'll teach you a special secret. I'll tell you the name of the culprit in this game called Higorashi no Nakogoro ni. No! Wow, don't say it! I'm still playing. See you, Beato. The black tea was delicious. However, the repertoire of jam on the crackers was lacking. Add some gochujang chili paste every once in a while. Are you crazy? That's such a troll, yeah. It goes great with Russian tea. Later. Oh, I see. I shall try it. I'll come for some after preparing the next game. Until then, feel free to polish up your strategy at your leisure. Yes, I'll do that. This last game was pretty interesting. Later. Hey, wait a sec, tell me. She just slightly looked a bit into our direction, and then disappeared. My, you two really are close. Yes, that's right. Oh, I really like you, Castle. You could even say I love you. I want to gouge out your eyes so that you see no one other than me. Oh, that would be so wonderful. It'd be great to dunk them in black tea. Uh-huh. Do you think that you would be so entranced, Lady Lambda Delta? I have a serious responsibility. Still, this last game really was close. I was a breath away from getting Battler. Beato, can I ask you something? What is it? I won't tell you that girl's name. When are you going to stop fooling around? Are you even trying to win? Lambda Delta threatened her with a low voice that she had never used in front of Bernkastel. It completely blew away the calm atmosphere that had been there until a moment ago. You know, I'm supporting you because you're supposed to be a witch who can win against Bernkastel. If you don't have the power to win against her, then I'll abandon you right away, okay? How harsh of you. What about me dissatisfies you? As you know, my game board is perfect. Lady Bernkastel will never be able to win. Yeah, that's right. Your board truly is impressive. It surely is an impressive and perfect game board that Bernkastel definitely won't be able to win in, not even after 100 years or even 1,000 years. That's why I made you a witch in exchange for letting me borrow it. If I stop being your guardian, you'll immediately go back to being a human. Make sure you don't forget that, no matter how much incredible magic power you hold, you are nothing more than a temporary witch. I understand. I'm grateful to you. Pretty cool music again. I'm sorry, I cannot continue reading. I have to listen to the music. I'm grateful to you. Don't speak so casually to me. I'll forgive that when Bernkastel's around, but not when she isn't. I'll bet you've started to forget how much you owe me. That is not so. Ah, you really are disgusting. Go ahead and talk the way you usually do, but be mindful of what you say. I have a surprisingly short temper, you see. Indeed. Let's get back to what we were discussing. Your game board truly is perfect. You should be able to defeat Berncastel without any trouble, but that kid won't surrender easily. She'll challenge you over and over. That is no problem. It has been certified by you, Lady Lambda. My game board is perfect. Yeah, that's right, it's perfect. But are you, the player, perfect as well? What do you mean by that? What do I mean? That's what I want to hear. You play around a lot in your game. Sometimes that ends up confusing Berncastel, so at first I thought it was some special strategy of yours. But I get the feeling that's not quite true. Rather than toying with the opponent in a match you can win, you don't actually care whether you win or lose, right? Ridiculous. How could that be? You know what? Your role is to make Berncastel surrender. In other words, that means being the victor in this game for all eternity. As long as you keep trying to become the victor with certainty, then I'll give you my power. There's the Witch of Certainty. However, if you fight in a way that doesn't eliminate any possibility of your loss, that's a different story. Of course this is a game. Just as Lady Berncastel will lose when I win, I will sometimes lose when she wins. The possibility of loss always exists. Therefore I will... This is why you're useless. There's no need for you to be a game board. You just have to be a birdcage that can lock Berncastel up here for all eternity. What's the role of a birdcage? Making certain the little bird inside never escapes. What's a birdcage worth if it has cracks that sometimes let a bird out? Of course, games exist for the purpose of winning, and it is impossible for me to lose. Therefore I will continue to win, as you wish, for all eternity. Good answer, that'll be fine. I'll allow you to play around and use fakes as part of your tactics. It ended up being useful during parts of this round. But you know what? If you make a move hoping for anything else other than victory, make sure you're prepared for something amazing, okay? I won't do such a thing. I swear it. Because originally you weren't even a witch, and at any time I'll remind you what a truly shabby creature you were. If you betray my expectations, that is. As soon as you do, you can look forward to a fun punishment game. In the world of billions of fragments, I'll send you into the most miserable one and seal you there. You were already miserable to start with, so there's gonna be some really miserable fragments out there for the picking. Oh, I love you, Berncastel. Struggle in Beatrice's birdcage as much as you like, and over the course of 1,000 years realize that you can no longer escape. And when you surrender, I'll train you so that you can't do anything other than cry in the palm of my hand. It's a good thing that all of these witches have such a strong, I love you forever. Have such a stable personality. The fuck? 12 years later? I'm sorry, what? Oh, the year of Resident Evil. A monotonous electronic sound kept on repeating. The room was colored with hygienic tones, in other words, an emotionless white. It was a room at a certain university hospital. Neither her doctors nor the person herself had any doubts that this room, which had a price so high that no commoner could afford to spend a single night there, would be the last room she ever saw. Was the person on the bed Eva? Even if someone told you that was so, she was unbelievably aged and worn out. The well-built man in a suit waiting in the corner near the door was having a whispered conversation through an intercom with someone outside. He was a guard protecting Eva's person. After telling the person on the other end of the intercom to wait, he approached Eva's bed. Eva had been awake for a short while. However, she stared at a single point in empty space, as though her mind was not in the same place. Just realized I should save it again. I'm just gonna call her Angie, because, I mean, the katakana was Enje, wasn't it? Enje, but if I say Enje, that kind of reminds me of engine. So I don't really like that. And I'm already pronouncing other people the way I want, so I'm just going to pronounce her the way I want as well. It's going to be Angie to me. Angie-san has arrived in the lobby below. Should we let her pass? For a long time, Eva didn't answer. However, bit by bit, her eyes began to regain their focus and she gave a small nod, indicating that she didn't mind if they called Angie. It had been Eva who called her, and she was right on time. By this point, Eva would refuse anyone who wanted a meeting without an appointment. The room was dark, even though it was still light outside, because the curtains were always closed. There was always one guard waiting in the room, and 3 more waiting in the corridor and the lobby. They were all there to protect Eva's person. Guess she's not here yet. Jessica is red now. Hold on. Missing. She certainly was joined with Kanon in the Golden Land. They both apologized for their own cowardice, communicating their true and honest feelings, and they hugged each other until their final moments. Afterwards, she was chewed to pieces by demons and went to hell. It's alright, Kanon is with her. Oh yeah, that totally makes up for it. Eventually there was the sound of a knock. Also, there was a message from the intercom that the guest's body check had been completed with no problems. The door was unlocked, then opened, and a high school-aged girl was standing there. Chairman, Angie's son has arrived. Eva reacted and turned her face towards the guest. However, instead of reacting to the guard's call, maybe it would be better to say that she reacted to the smell of Angie's makeup. After being shut up in this room for so long, Eva was sensitive to even small changes in smell. So you came, Angie. Okay, so it is her. But how does that... Didn't they say she was like 6? At the beginning? Maybe, I'll have to go back and check that. But I thought at the... Well, I don't know. Just best don't comment on that. Yeah, now it's 1998, but I mean, in the Golden Land, it... Or does the Golden Land just jump 12 years ahead? Is whatever the Golden Land, whatever that means, does that mean it lies 12 years after the island event? Otherwise, why would she look like that in the Golden Land? But again, don't comment on that. Saying anything would kind of already be a spoiler, I think, so don't... I'm just throwing out questions to myself. I came. You did call me. On Eva's face, there was no trace of a person warmly welcoming their niece. And on Angie's face, you couldn't see the expression of one pleased to meet with their aunt. Eva waved her arm, which had grown as thin as a withered branch, and motioned for the guard to leave. The guard bowed silently and went out into the hall. It's not only stuffy, but dark too. Can I open the curtains? Is your plan for that hitman you hired to shoot me through the window? I wish I could get hired to assassinate you. All I'd have to do is relax at home for a month, and the job would take care of itself. The discussion was quite morbid for an aunt and niece. However, they didn't look like they were joking. At the very least, Eva believed that someone was after her life. All of the Ushidomiya family's massive fortune had come into the possession of Ushidomiya Eva. It was said that this fortune also included the 10 tons of hidden gold that Ushidomiya Kinzo was rumored to have hidden. While this vast wealth lay in Eva's cunning, sly, and suspicious hands, no one was able to complain. But it was rumored that as soon as it was passed on to Angie, who was no more than a young girl, certain people were plotting to snatch it away. By now, Eva and Angie were Kinzo's only descendants. If Eva died, all of the wealth would go to Angie, and if Angie were then to be killed as well, that wealth would go to the family of Angie's mother, Kyria. In this sense, not only Eva but Angie as well were in a position where it wouldn't be odd at all for their life to be targeted by some unknown person. And Eva had hated Angie for a long time. This was because she knew that after losing her only precious son, George, the inheritor of her own wealth would be none other than the girl who had been absent at that family conference 12 years ago and who had survived. Eva shunned Angie, disliked her, and even hated her. She isolated Angie in a special school and separated her from the youth and happiness normal people have, trying to keep her as a pet until death. However, Eva had succumbed to an incurable illness, and ironically, her remaining life was estimated to be the same as Kinzo's had been at that family conference 12 years ago. Both Eva and Angie hated each other. Even though they were each other's last blood relatives, they hated each other so much that they hoped the other would die quickly. And why did you go to all the trouble of calling for me? I don't have much time left. These quack doctors still can't detect any of the poison that's filling me up. I know. I'm just going to give her an older voice now. I'm sure it's some secret assassination drug used by those Soviet KGBs. Oh, I'm gonna be killed, I'm gonna be killed. Isn't that great? Very soon I will die, which will surely be quite a load off your back. What a pitiable person. This always happened. They immediately deviated from the main topic, distorting it into a more unsettling discussion. Eva, who was absolutely paranoid, believed that someone was always after her life. Yeah, so much for thinking that all that gold would bring you happiness. Seems you turned into a horribly paranoid person who is being horrible to the only relative left alive and is now succumbing to an illness. Cool, great life. And in actual fact, after inheriting the vast wealth of the Yoshidomiya family, she had used wild methods just like Kinzo had done in the past, repeatedly making money by any means necessary and creating many enemies along the way. Why the fuck would you even do that if you had 10 tons of gold? With a massive supply of capital, she had plotted to aggressively buy businesses that were starting to have rapid growth, making them buy it back at a high price under the guise of reconciliation. Ironically, it was the same type of action that her husband's company had been hit with 12 years ago. She had repeated this constantly for 12 years. She had also earned a lot of hatred. If her husband had heard of this from beyond the grave, he might have defended her, saying that the loneliness from losing her family fueled her actions. However, of all the people who knew her now, none would defend her. For some time, Eva eloquently spoke of how her life was being targeted, listing off names of people who hated her and sneering at the fact that she still hadn't been killed. Even though Angie heard her own name included in that list, there was no particular change in her expression, and she waited indifferently for Eva to tire herself out. You see, I really hate you. I'm honored. Same here. I built this future for George's sake. To think that it will be snatched away by you, to think that it will be stolen away by Rudolph's daughter. I can't bear it. To think that I would have my fortune stolen away without even leaving behind a child, that I cannot forgive. If only you just give all of your fortune to charity. What about all those religious people you used to go so far out of your way to find? They all say the same thing. My excessive wealth has become a burden to me. And they always say something about how I need to give it up and cleanse myself. Then I thought of something. I stopped donating. For a time, Eva had searched for the founders of several strange and new religious cults, perhaps seeking peace in her heart, but they gave her heart no relief, and if anything, they ended up increasing her paranoia further. If you have too much money, why don't you start buying up thoroughbreds and make some corned beef? I've thought of something even more interesting. I've worried over it a lot. What could I do to make things horrible for you? I thought about killing you. I also thought about erasing all of my wealth, leaving you penniless and selling you off to a slave trader or something. Well, good lord. I can understand that you kind of don't like her after you lost your own son and like all the dreams you had are shattered. But shouldn't there be a point where you kind of, I don't know, reconciliate with the fact that that's how it's gonna be, and perhaps also, I don't know, get a fucking hold of yourself and not decide how to destroy the life of another child? Man. Not the nicest person I see. Wouldn't that be wonderful? You'd have your arms and legs chopped off and be forced to take customers until you died. That would be so wonderful. Is this fun for you? Oh yes, it is. It's fun to scare you, but very soon I will die. So I thought about how I might continue to cause you pain even after my death. And then it was surprisingly simple. I called you because I wanted to talk about it. I have midterms coming up. Keep it brief. I have decided I will have you inherit all of my fortune. Oh? Not only that, but I decided that until the very day I die, I'll expand that fortune as much as I can, inflating it to massive proportions before having you inherit all of it. Can you even imagine what that would be like? I don't get it, because it's stupid. That's right, you don't get it, do you? Look forward to it. It really is fun being rich. Every day, yokai from across Japan come to play. From now on, your entire life will be followed by talks, shows, and weekly magazines. The media will criticize me no matter what I do or don't do. If I donate, they'll attack me for being bourgeois. And if I hesitate, I'll be abused as a miser. I forgot. Miser? Oh, every day really is wonderful, you see. I decided it'd be great let you have that kind of life when you're so young and have so much ahead of you. Doesn't that sound absolutely wonderful? Looks like the public's opinion of all you've done was spot on. Too true, yes, that is too true. Go ahead, abuse me as much as you want. Soon you will face that same criticism. Japanese culture dictates that good people live in honorable poverty, while the wealthy should just die. No matter what you do or do not do, you will eventually be lifted up as a symbol of envy and hate across Japan. So here's my thought. Couldn't she just, the moment she inherits everything, give all of it away immediately and just, I don't know. I mean, sure, that would be a big scandal for a while, but I think people would be quick to forget about it that way. People are quick to forget one scandal when the next one comes, so if she just inherits all that money and then just says, I don't want it, I'll donate it, except for a tiny bit so I can actually survive. I think sure there would be articles about it, shows or whatever, but I think that would actually be over rather quickly. It's not like I cannot see the public talking about that 10 years after that if she just lives a normal life after giving away all the fortune. That's what I would do. I hope. I wonder how twisted your life will become after living that way. You have no allies, no one will listen to your worries. Abusing you will become a public sport, and no one can stop that. Oh, Angie. Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder how you will live your life and how you'll end it. Enjoy to the fullest the life of being unable to trust anyone in the world, being unable to love anyone, being unable to talk with anyone. I'll be patiently waiting for you to take that story of hardship down with you into hell. Her insane laughter turned into a painful cough. Without changing her expression in the slightest, looking completely unconcerned, Angie stared at the only survivor of Rokkenjima. Perhaps because he found the violent coughing suspicious, the guard gave a short knock on the door and rushed in at the same time. Angie glanced at him wordlessly, making it clear that she didn't intend to move a step from where she was. Angie was prepared for some kind of trap to frame her in Eva's death. However, that was fortunately a needless fear. As the guard rubbed Eva's back, he poured hot water from a thermos into a mug. As he did, Eva kept coughing, apparently in pain. Angie figured that this was probably the last she'd see of the Rokkenjima witch's final days. Eventually, the coughing subsided, and Eva regained her normal breathing. However, the glittering madness inside her eyes hadn't subsided in the slightest. Now I will give to you that cursed mass of gold and the Yoshidomiya family headship, as well as the name of the Golden Witch, Beatrice. Enjoy the insane, twisted rest of your life, fitting for the name of the witch. Don't need that. More importantly, tell me, on that day, what happened on Rokkenjima? I don't believe it was an accident. Tell me the truth about what happened that day, and why father and mother and Nissan died. Oh yes, that is the best way I have to harass you, isn't it? What happened on that day? What happened on this day in 1986? You want to know what they said before they died, right? I won't tell you. I'll leave behind the cursed gold. But you know what? I'll take the truth you seek with me to hell. That's the best way I can torment you. Oh, are you mad? If you want to hear it so much, try going to hell and asking your family there. In that case, you'd better die right now, right? If only you just give up and die right now. That laugh continued until she started coughing again, and that cough did not subside until she started moaning and going into convulsions. How fitting for the music to end right there. Oh, now we're back in 1986. On Rokkenjima, the Yoshidomiya family's customary and final family conference was held. And on the next day, October 5, an extremely unfortunate accident occurred and the Yoshidomiya family was wiped out. Fortunately, in quotation marks, Yoshidomiya Eva escaped from that and inherited almost all of the Yoshidomiya family's fortune. However, due to the many turbulent rumors surrounding the Ushidomiya family, the way Eva acted afterwards, and her unnatural actions at the time of the unfortunate accident, the public was in an uproar over whether this might have been a conspiracy to get all of the inheritance for herself. Under pressure from the public, prosecutors repeatedly tried to investigate the matter. The media began tracing the outline of a conspiracy that they called the Rokkanjima suspicion, but in the end, they weren't even able to find proof that this unfortunate accident was a crime. However, because the media continued to give the impression that the Rokkanjima suspicion was a conspiracy of Eva's, public opinion began to believe that she was the true culprit. Of course, that was also influenced by the bad impression caused by all that easily condemnable, overbearing financial activity, which she had carried out using that vast wealth. Every time she did something, the rumors started spreading. The media would bring back the Rokkanjima suspicion, blaming the criminal justice system by saying that she was the true culprit and that the only reason she hadn't been arrested was because even the police had been bribed. So the impression that she was a great villain grew stronger and stronger. Her heart eventually degenerated, and ironically, it began to transfigure her into the kind of human that the public expected. Kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess. By now, Eva had no one she could trust and no family. After her beloved husband passed away, the talk shows occasionally mentioned his company, saying that it was run recklessly while criticizing and disgracing its former accomplishments. Even her beloved son George was dramatized as the stereotypical rich, lazy son that the public expected, and no one even wanted to know what a simple and honest character he had possessed. As to how much all of this hurt Eva and ran her to ruin, no one cared. The public was only interested out of curiosity about how a super-rich evil woman who killed her whole family lived her pitiful later years, so that happened more and more, and eventually, Eva's personality was transfigured until people started calling her a lunatic. It was said that this sometimes reminded her of her father, whom she had once admired in his later years, and that she laughed at herself with scorn. And on the day of that final family conference, because Ushidomiya Rudolph's daughter Angie had been sick and had stayed with her mother's family, she had not participated. At the age of 6, she had lost her family and had gained Eva as her guardian. Since Angie had become Eva's only blood relative, Eva took very good care of her. She had imposing guards surrounding Angie's person at all times to prevent her from coming to harm. Angie had even her right to play with friends, to come home from school together, and to enjoy the seasons together, stolen away, so that she can live a full and pleasant school life. Eva had sent Angie to an elegant boarding school that took care of her every need, completely isolating her from the world. She didn't even know the popular songs that girls her age might hum. She was never given a chance to enjoy window shopping with her friends or stuffing her mouth with crepes, much less an encounter with a member of the opposite sex to make her heart throb. Angie did not have a single friend. If anyone carelessly acted friendly with Angie, they would be scolded by the guards or else the teachers. All of them were strictly ordered not to let shabby humans approach the daughter of the esteemed Ushidomiya family. During that time, the talk shows were always mentioning Ushidomiya Eva, always spreading rumors about her countless financial misdeeds. Those who knew who her daughter was naturally began to keep their distance. Even now, she was called a witch at school, and anytime something bad happened, even if there was no proof, it would be whispered as though it were absolute truth, that she had imposed her will on the school staff. The environment makes the person. By now, she had a heart as wild as those around her feared. No one trusted her, so she never bothered to believe in anyone. No one loved her, so she never even tried to love. And when Eva caught an incurable illness on top of all this, it was whispered that this too was a conspiracy. At this time, Angie was set up as the mastermind. Mastermind? Everyone whispered that the daughters of witches are witches too. Even the talk shows and the weekly magazines whispered that. So Angie also accepted it as though it was obviously true. Oh, Maria moved to the left now. Oh, and the line goes from here to here now, okay. Ushidomiya Angie, the daughter of Rudolph and Kiria, Battler's younger sister from a different mother. She hasn't come in contact with Battler often, but is extremely fond and respectful of him. She was sick and absent during the family conference, so she always ends up surviving in solitude. Always. A very unfortunate girl whose heart is in tatters has a bad habit of always walking around with massive amounts of cash, throwing it out to whoever comes first. Hey, could she please come by at my place? Therefore, since she had already believed that she was a witch, when she heard that the name of the Golden Witch was being turned over to her, she only felt like saying, You just figured that out now? However, she was at least sure of one thing. This title of witch that she had inherited would definitely never be inherited by anyone else. She would be the last head of the Ushidomiya family, and the last lonely golden witch. Angie could be seen on the roof of a skyscraper. Compared to the winds of the world that had beaten down upon her until now, this strong cold wind was warm and pleasant. Below her lay a beautiful nighttime scene and a dazzling river of red and white lights. It was supposed to be clear out that night, so there really should have been countless stars stretching out over the sky. However, the light from the ground was too bright, so you couldn't see them at all. Angie couldn't help but think that what she truly sought must lie in that unseen starlight. The world of reality below her looked so far away from here. She could imagine that this place was the closest to the world she really should be in. There was only one thing that Angie cursed. Why had she not been able to go to that family conference on that day 12 years ago? Even though if she had gone, it would probably have been possible for her to stay with her family forever. Lately, she'd been dreaming about her family over and over again. The person I was 12 years ago calls out frantically, urging them not to go to the family conference. But both Dad and Mom are too far away, and my hand won't reach them. Bella-Nisan always loved me a lot, and he'd always pat my head, but even though it looks like that hand's about to touch me, even it does not reach. For some reason, I started having that dream over and over. Every time I had the same dream, I uselessly tried to stretch out my hand even more forcefully, over and over and over, even if only Bella-Nisan had lived. Then perhaps we'd at least be able to support each other in my cold and lonely reality. But his hand never reaches me. Even if I climb to the roof of this tall building, I'm so far away from all of them. A mysterious girl appears in my dreams and urges me. She urges me to find the truth of what happened 12 years ago. If only I could learn everything that happened to Father and the rest of them on that day. Would they come back? At least one of them? There was no way that anyone would answer that question for her. I get it. In this world I have no family or friends, so let's go. Let's go home, to where my family is. Oh no. From the start, Angie's figure had been on the outer side of the fence. The scenery below her eyes was distant, beautiful, and so fantastical that it actually didn't give rise to fear. If I look down, I'll surely be swallowed up by the world below. So I looked up, because I wanted to be taken to the world above, the world where my family was. Who cares about vast wealth? Who cares about cursed gold? Who cares about the golden witch Beatrice? What I really want, even a mountain of gold couldn't get me. What I need for that is to take a single step forward. Just that little bit of courage. Well, this is sad. At that moment, I definitely heard a voice. It was a voice I knew. A voice that had called to me in my dreams for so long. What in the world? Before my eyes, in other words, in mid-air above the jet-black nighttime scenery, there was the figure of the girl I had seen in my dreams. She spoke again with the same voice I had heard in those dreams. Your assistance is required. My assistance? Who needs it? Your family needs it. Your family has been eternally imprisoned in the span from this day 12 years ago until the following day. If I save them, does that mean my family will come home? When I asked the question I had most wanted to, the girl coolly stopped talking and hung her head. I cannot promise that. The enemy is the Golden Witch Beatrice, a mighty opponent. I cannot oppose her, but another Golden Witch might be able to manage something. I don't know what you're talking about. The only one who can oppose the Beatrice of 1986 is the final Beatrice of 1998. In other words, you, Angie. Angie Beatrice. That witch from 12 years ago took away from my family? That's right. She is your foe. The root cause that always leads to your future of isolation. My family's foe? In exchange, I will search for a fragment with the ideal world that you wish for, a world where your family comes home. I make no promises that your desire will be granted. Beatrice's game board in 1986 is quite perfect. I had planned on bringing you that ideal fragment as a present today, but I still can't find it. This is a very firm fate. I haven't seen the likes of it since the time I fought aRdW. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm giving you a chance for revenge. In exchange, I promise to search for and bring you the happiest resolution among the possibilities you're capable of accepting. Revenge. It may be a fruitless effort. Even if you succeed in your revenge, there's no definite proof that your family will return. Even if you manage to hit a miraculous probability, you may only be able to bring one person back, if that. Angie understood the meaning of that dream. The dream where it seemed that with just a little more stretching, her hand might be able to reach at least Betlani's-san. A miraculous probability means it's still higher than 0, right? Is it 1%? Trying to read any probabilities before the result is useless, so I cannot tell you that number. But I'll definitely be slightly more likely than if I do nothing. Yes, as long as you do not throw the design of yours away. But be prepared. It is extremely close to 0. Okay, I'll take you up on that offer. Are you sure? You probably won't be able to return here again. This isn't the world I'm supposed to be in. I'll find the world I am supposed to be in myself. Tell me your name. The Witch of Miracles, Bernkastel. And by that name, I acknowledge you as the Golden Witch, Angie Beatrice. As of now, you are a true witch. The instant she proclaimed that, I was a witch. I felt dizzy as though something inside me had changed drastically. At that time, I heard a clunk. It was the sound of the door that opened to the staircase to the roof. It was on Eva's guards. They're only guards in name. Aren't they the cage that wraps the tightest around me, shutting me in? They saw that I was already on the other side of the fence and dashed forward, horrified.
20, we found the target. Requesting backup on the roof.
Angie-san,
we were looking for you. It's dangerous there, so quickly come this way.
What's that?
My fan club. I'm pretty popular.
No point in getting caught. Let's go. Looking... Didn't expect that. Looking annoyed, Bernkastel turned on her heels. In the jet-black sky. Watching that perfectly casual gesture, I followed her as though it was completely normal.
Angie-san, wait! Don't be hasty. Look out!
Oh, it's useless. It's all useless. Well then, see you again next time. Please send a limo to get me. Because everyone else will be there too. See you.
Angie-san.
Okay. Okay, I guess that picture comes on the PS3 version at that point. And it's 10 o'clock, which means we can still have a peek at episode 4. Such weird names here in the credits. Okay, I guess I was reading too slowly, apparently. Okay, I get it, credits. I'm sorry. Because they're still rolling, but the song is already over. Kana. Special thanks. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't know credits were coming.